Earlier this week, Apple announced a brand new Apple TV 4K. Well, sort of. It's an upgraded version of the previous model, first released just last year in 2021. So let's talk about what's the difference between this model and the previous 2021 version. What's new? Should you get one or should you upgrade? And I'll tell you how I really feel about this little announcement because I do have some thoughts. Let's go. Yo, what's up guys? My name is Shane if this is your first time here, and this channel is all about building an easy Apple home, smart home. We publish new videos every Sunday and live streams every Wednesday. Big thanks to Econet and their Bulldog Valve robot for sponsoring today's video. More on that later in this video. I've been a big fan of the Apple TV 4K for quite a while. Not only is it an amazing streaming device, also capable of games and many other things, but it also acts as our hub for our smart homes. So for many out there like me, these Apple TVs actually play a pretty big role in our smart homes. With the new Apple TV, you'll still be able to do most of the things that you've been able to do in the past with the previous generations of the Apple TV 4K. Stream all your favorite movies and shows through various apps. With the subscription, you can access Apple TV Plus content or access a catalog of workouts with Fitness Plus. Connect your Apple Watch and get real-time updates on the screen as you work out, which is super cool. Of course, with a subscription, you can access your Apple Music and tons of games with Apple Arcade. It comes with the awesome Siri Remote, which I love. I use this thing all the time. And possibly one of my favorite aspects of the Apple TV 4K is that seamless integration with my other Apple devices. I can use my iPhone as a TV remote or use it to get the perfect color calibration on my TV. You can connect up to 2 sets of AirPods to the Apple TV 4K with separate volume control and spatial audio. That's something else that I love and use all the time. Not to mention SharePlay, where you can add Apple TV to FaceTime calls on your iPhone or iPad to watch content together on the big screen. And of course, we have home control. Again, it acts as a hub for your smart home, processing video and automations all there locally in your home. And you can access any of your Apple Home camera feeds or smart home accessories from the Apple TV 4K itself. But all that pretty much came with the previous model, the 2021 model of the Apple TV 4K, and even the first generation released way back in 2017. So what's new with this 2022 Apple TV 4K that they just announced? Well, first of all, we now have 2 versions to choose from, similar to before, but we now have the Apple TV 4K with Wi-Fi and the Apple TV 4K with Wi-Fi and Ethernet. Yes, that's right, they have removed the Ethernet port from the base model Apple TV 4K. It also appears that they will no longer be selling the Apple TV HD, which I'm totally okay with. There was really no good reason to purchase this product these days anyways. So we now have these 2 versions, the Apple TV 4K with Wi-Fi and the Apple TV 4K with Wi-Fi and Ethernet. Probably the best part of all of this is that they have reduced the price pretty significantly. The base model is now $129 US and the Apple TV 4K with Wi-Fi and Ethernet is $149 US. So both models are about $50 cheaper than the previous 2021 version. So that's great news. Probably the best thing about this entire update. The base model comes with 64 gigabytes of storage and the higher one comes with 128 gigabytes of storage. So each one has basically doubled the storage capacity from the previous generations at $50 cheaper. So far, everything is sounding pretty good, right? These do come with an A15 Bionic chip, an upgrade from the previous model's A12 Bionic chip. Both the new model and the 2021 model does support Wi-Fi 6 connectivity. Again, on the new ones, only the higher end, has that Ethernet port for a hardwired connection, whereas the 2021 models both had Ethernet ports, the base model and the higher end. So they removed the Ethernet port from the lower end Apple TV 4K, which does kind of suck, I feel like. Both the 2021 model and the new 2022 model support 4K UHD video at up to 60 frames per second with Dolby Vision and Atmos support. The only real difference being that the new Apple TV's 2022 models support HDR10+. Not a huge deal, probably not a reason to upgrade from a 2021 model for most people, but you know, it is nice that they have added that to these new models. The Siri Remote on the new Apple TV is the exact same as the 2021 model, except the new version has been updated with a USB-C port for charging rather than the Lightning port that was on the previous model or the previous remote. Again, probably not a reason to upgrade. I only have to charge this thing like maybe twice a year anyways. And as far as I can tell, there's still been no indication that the new Siri Remote contains a U1 chip or ultra wideband. That's what's used in AirTags for that precise location tracking. I felt that this was a missed opportunity in the 2021 Apple TV 4K, and it appears that they have missed the opportunity again with this one. Would have loved to see the Siri Remote, have ultra wideband so that you can use like maybe the Find My app to find your remote with that precise tracking, if you lose your remote, which does happen fairly often. Now, the Ethernet port is not the only thing that base model lost from the previous 2021 generation. It also lost support for Thread. This to me is a real bummer and something that I just don't understand. I'm sorry, Apple, but I think this was a bad decision. For those that don't know, Thread is a wireless protocol built for smart homes. It's used to connect devices by creating a wireless, self-healing mesh network. The more Thread smart home devices you add, to your home or network, the stronger and more reliable your Thread smart home network becomes. Thread is one of the primary protocols that the new smart home standard Matter is built upon, that standard that Apple has been such a big part of. Both of the 2021 Apple TV 4K models not only had Ethernet ports, but also had support for Thread, meaning that they could be used as a Thread border router to connect your Thread smart home devices. The new base model Apple TV 4K has dropped the Ethernet port, meaning you have to use Wi-Fi, that's the only option, and it has also dropped support for Thread. This really doesn't make much sense to me given Apple's commitment to Matter, moving forward. Kind of strange. The higher end Apple TV 4K with Wi-Fi and Ethernet does still support Thread. So, let's get to my final thoughts and, whether or not you should get one of these new Apple TVs. Bottom line, the Apple TV 4K is an incredible device, and I'm a huge fan. I have been for years, like I said. If you're an Apple user or you live in an Apple household, and need just a great streaming device, then I really can't recommend this thing enough. Heck, I just put one in my grandpa's house just a few weeks ago, matter of fact. I'm very happy that they have reduced the price on the new models. I think it's at a much more appealing price point right now, although I still kind of wish there was an even more affordable version just to, reduce that barrier to entry a little bit more. I think this new higher model, the one with Wi-Fi and Ethernet, is the best Apple TV 4K yet at a better price than ever before. Personally, as someone building an Apple smart home, if I was to buy one, I'd certainly opt for the higher end for, $20 more just to have support for Thread. Also, even if you don't, want it right away, you have an Ethernet port, later down the road if you ever decide maybe you want to hardwire it or move it or something like that. Hardwired connections are just always going to be more reliable and stable. I do just have a really hard time recommending the new base model, even, if you think you don't need the Ethernet port or you don't need that support for Thread. For $20 more, you can get both, which would be nice if you ever change your mind down the road. Plus, you get double the storage space. The storage space has never really been a deciding factor for me personally when buying an Apple TV. In fact, I've always opted for the base model Apple TV 4Ks in the past. Unless you're really playing a whole lot of games or have tons of apps, something like that, then the storage really doesn't matter that much on this device because, you're pretty much streaming almost everything. 32 gigs actually on the previous model has always been enough for me. Again, I don't really play many games, but 32 gigs gigs has always been enough for me. And now the new base model comes with 64 gigs, but you are losing some other features as I mentioned. This is the first time that if I was buying a new Apple TV 4K, I'd get the more expensive one, which by the way is still $30 cheaper than the 2021 base model. And I would get that one not for the storage necessarily, but again, the Ethernet port and Thread support. Should you upgrade if you have the 2021 Apple TV 4K? Probably not. I don't think I will be. In fact, I still have a couple of the first generation Apple TV 4Ks originally released in 2017 that are still working just fine as well. The A15 Bionic chip is a nice upgrade on the new one, but I've honestly never experienced any performance issues with the A12 chip from the previous generation. Now, I don't play a lot of games, like I said, on the Apple TV, but to me, the chip upgrade is really not a reason to upgrade solely on that if you have the 2021 version. I've never had any performance issues with even the 2017 models, which utilize an A10X Fusion chip. Now, if you're using the first generation Apple TV 4K from 2017, then maybe it's time to start thinking about an upgrade. Those are using, like I said, that older A10X Fusion chip, so you might notice a little bit of a difference in performance with the A15 and the new Apple TV 4K. Plus that first generation doesn't support Thread, Wi-Fi 6, eARC, or the higher frame rates that both the 2021 and the 2022 models support. Now, to be clear, both Apple TV 4K models, the new ones, do still act as a home hub, meaning you can create automations, control your smart home devices from anywhere, and utilize HomeKit secure video recording, things like that. But if you buy smart home devices that connect over Thread, you will need something else to be your Thread border router, like a HomePod Mini, or like I said, the new Apple TV 4K with Wi-Fi and Ethernet, the higher end model. And as you know, if you've watched my channel before, I'm all about those smart home automations. And one of my most important automations that I have set up is utilizing the Econet Bulldog valve robot. I have this thing set that if any of my HomeKit water sensors throughout my entire house detects a leak, the Bulldog will shut the water off to my entire house. With water damage, it's usually not a question of if, but when, and shutting off the water immediately can save thousands of dollars in damages. Econet sells a Wi-Fi and a Z-Wave version of the Bulldog. I have mine integrated into HomeKit via Homebridge, and it's been working great. Check out the link below for more on that Bulldog valve robot, and big thanks to Econet for sponsoring today's video and supporting the channel. Will you be getting the new Apple TV 4K? If I didn't already have one or three, I definitely would get one. It would be a great purchase at a better price point than ever before. I would be getting the higher end model with Ethernet and Thread support. But for those already rocking the 2021 models like me, both of which have Ethernet ports and support Thread, by the way, I really don't think there's enough reason to upgrade. It's a huge bummer that they've removed Thread support on the base model in a time where Apple should be doing everything they can to get people, you know, into their smart home ecosystem. Removing Thread support just seemed like a really bad move. This new model, the higher end one with Wi-Fi and Ethernet, looks like a great product at a very reasonable price. I'm still just a little mad that they removed Ethernet and especially Thread from that base model. I don't know, doesn't make much sense to me. Let me know below what you think about the new Apple TV 4Ks, and if you use them, what's your favorite thing about the Apple TV 4K? I make lots of videos about building a smart home with Apple, so if that sounds like something you'd be interested in, be sure to subscribe for new videos every week and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next time I go live. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.